I'm Sandeep Batala, Vice President of External Affairs at the National Network to End Domestic Violence. Today, we're talking about economic justice policies with NNEDV's President and CEO, Deborah Vakins, and Melina Malazzo, Senior Policy Counsel at NNEDV. Increasing survivors' economic stability to help them gain long term security is at the forefront of our work. We strive to address financial abuse, expand and strengthen employment protections, and make sure survivors' needs are heard by policymakers, corporate actors, and other decision makers. Lack of job protected paid leave, pay inequality, low wages, and lack of many other job protections persist in our country and disproportionately impact women, particularly women of color. There are many other pieces of critical federal legislation that would address these problems, and NNEDV is working with our coalitions and partners in the field to move them forward. There's much more work to be done to ensure everyone can work safely and be paid fairly. So let's start from the beginning. Melina, will you explain how economic security impacts domestic violence survivors?
Certainly, and thank you, Sandeep. Unfortunately, abusers often sabotage a partner's economic stability to exercise control over them and keep them trapped in the relationship. Leaving an abusive partner may mean losing access to income, housing, employment, healthcare, and childcare. Survivors in marginalized and underserved communities, such as people of color, LGBTQ people, immigrants, and people with disabilities, often face intersecting forms of discrimination that exacerbate their likelihood of facing economic instability. Economic security is essential to survivors' ability to leave an abuser and achieve long term safety and stability.
It is essential. Yet many people don't realize how expensive it can be to experience and escape domestic violence.
That's right, Cindy. Survivors often incur substantial out of pocket costs while navigating medical, mental health, relocation, and other complex, time consuming systems. For most survivors, taking time off work to address their or their family's health concerns or safety needs without a paycheck is simply not a realistic or feasible option.
It really isn't. Deb, what kind of policies can help these survivors?
Thanks, Sandeep, and thanks, Melina. Many jobs do not provide paid leave when someone needs to take sick time off, leaving millions of employees having to make the impossible decision between keeping a job or caring for themselves or their family. Paid sick and safe days allow survivors to take time away from work to address their legal, medical, physical, and emotional needs, like seeking protections, meeting with advocates or therapists, filing or attending legal proceedings, relocating, or just giving them the space and time they need to recover emotionally and physically. Personal safety should be a basic employment protection and enshrined in federal law for all workers. Survivors must be able to pursue safety and healing without risking their job or income.
They must. Deb, what about the issue of equal pay?
Another really important policy issue. Domestic violence survivors, who are predominantly women, deserve equal pay protections. Pay gaps exist at all levels of work in almost every occupation. Pay gaps cut across all age groups and demographics, significantly widening for women of color. The gap begins as soon as women leave college for their first job, and it grows wider throughout their lifetime, impacting their long-term security and retirement. As long as women make less than men for performing the same work, survivors' ability to gain financial stability and independence is hampered, increasing the likelihood that they would be forced to continue to rely on support from an abuser.
True. Melina, can you talk about the impact of a low minimum wage on economic security?
Absolutely. Unfortunately, the federal minimum wage is not necessarily a living wage, and work performed by women has long been and continues to be undervalued and underpaid. Women, especially women of color, are much more likely to hold low wage jobs. Low wage workers are also especially vulnerable to exploitation and may fear retaliation if they speak up. Increasing the minimum wage to a living wage will better enable survivors to help themselves and their families meet daily and long term needs.
It will. Deb, what is NNED doing to address these issues?
Ensuring survivors' safety and economic security on the job and in every facet of their lives is a priority for NNEDV and our state and territorial member coalitions, and the programs, advocates, and survivors they support. As we all talked about before, without economic security, domestic violence survivors may be more dependent on abusers. But when survivors have stable access to resources that help them build economic resiliency, they and their families are much more likely to remain safe and secure. So NNEDV has urged economic justice, workplace protections in federal law, including support for the Paycheck Fairness Act. This is legislation that would update and strengthen federal equal pay protections. The Healthy Families Act, which would provide job-protected, paid sick and safe leave. The Family Act, which provides paid family and medical leave, and the Raise the Wage Act, which would increase the federal minimum wage. These 4 workplace reforms, among many others needed, are pending in Congress. NNEDV will continue to advocate for strong federal legislative and executive branch protections for all workers, support our members in their policy work, and provide programmatic work on financial abuse to help survivors thrive.
Thank you. Thank you, Deb and Melina, for talking with me today. Personal safety and economic security are intrinsically linked for domestic violence victims. When survivors have stable access to resources to help them build economic resiliency, they and their families are much more likely to remain safe and secure. To learn more about NNEDV's policy work, our economic justice program, or to get involved in our work, visit our website at nnedv.org. Thank you.